Question for you. Who taught you how to look for a job? Your grandparents, your parents, somebody born in the 1960s or earlier? Are you tired of the traditional way of looking for jobs, of sending resume after resume, cover letter after cover letter, application after application? Well, time to ditch the traditional way of doing things and time to rework the way you search for a job. Unintended. I'm gonna drop some of the secrets that I've used to help over 300 people get jobs in the tech sales. Let's get into it.
This work.
Get this work. I'm gonna get this work.
Be ready to get this work.
Get this work.
Can you get this work?
Come get this work.
So it's 2023, y'all. And if you're looking to stand out in this job market, in any job market, especially tech sales, then you're gonna have to innovate the way you do your job search. So today we're gonna talk about 3 different things. We're gonna talk about, man, the way the job market really works versus what a lot of us have been taught. We're gonna talk about how to be your own BDR, can't stress that enough. And then we're gonna review the tell me about yourself question, how to answer that question when you get it at the interview. If you're like most of us, again, who were raised by old school parents, we were taught probably 1 or 2 things, or at least 1 or 2 things more than likely has happened to us in our career. So if you're a younger person, you're more likely you've been taught that you're going to wait until you know exactly what you want to do in your career before you make a decision. You're like in school and you're like, hey, I don't know what I want to do yet. And so until I know what I want to do, I'm going to go to school, learn as much as I can, and boom, next thing you know, I'm going to start applying to as many job postings as I can because I know what I wanted to do in my career. I'm going to have a great resume, great cover letter, and then boom, I'm going to land my dream job. Or you're like some older individual who has some life experience. You basically wait until you hate your current career, wait till you hate your current life. But you're like, man, I can't do this no more. If you're working in like labor or something like that, you're basically saying, dude, I'm tired of waking up, going out here in the cold. I'm tired of dealing with these retail customers. I mean, whatever have you. A lot of us, we've waited until we hate our current job. And then in desperation, you go apply to as many job postings as you can. You try to write a great resume. You probably have paid somebody to write your resume, or you probably hit up Google and may use one of the templates on Google to make your resume and your cover letter. And then you're expecting to hopefully, after all the applications and after all the time and energy that you put into a resume, you're hoping that you land your dream job. Time to do a reality check. It don't work like that. In fact, if you think it works like that, could explain the reason why you haven't landed a job yet, or at least one that you like. So, like I said before, let's rework the way you actually are thinking about this thing, all right? Or at least I'm going to give you the tips and the tricks that I've taught the more than 300 people that I've helped land jobs in the tech industry. I'm going to tell you what I've told them. So one of the biggest pieces of feedback that a lot of people get when they come through our program, when they do mock interviews, the biggest piece of feedback that is given is usually a person being told that you got to be yourself, right? Be yourself at the interview. And it's crazy because it's just like, man, why do people struggle with that, being their selves at the interview? Probably because they was taught that you got to kind of put on a face and you got to be professional, right? And so the job search actually starts with this. It starts with that bullet point all the way to the left of you got to uncover who you are, what you want, and why. Interestingly enough, a guy named Simon Sinek said it best in his book, Starts with the Why. You don't got to go read the book. I'm going to give you the short of it, of how he breaks down why it's important to do that first part of understanding who you are, what you want, and why. I'm going to break that down for you. Check it out.
About 3.5 years ago, I made a discovery. And this discovery profoundly changed my view on how I thought the world worked, and it even profoundly changed the way in which I operate in it. As it turns out, there's a pattern. As it turns out, all the great and inspiring leaders and organizations in the world, whether it's Apple or Martin Luther King or the Wright brothers, they all think, act, and communicate the exact same way, and it's the complete opposite to everyone else. All I did was codify it. And it's probably the world's simplest idea. I call it the golden circle. Why, how, what? This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Let me define the terms really quickly. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do, 100%. Some know how they do it, whether you call it your differentiating value proposition or your proprietary process or your USP. But very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit. That's a result. It's always a result. By why, I mean what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Well, as a result, the way we think, the way we act, the way we communicate is from the outside in. It's obvious. We go from the clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. But the inspired leaders and the inspired organizations, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. I use Apple because they're easy to understand and everybody gets it. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Meh. And that's how most of us communicate. That's how most marketing is done, that's how most sales is done, and that's how most of us communicate interpersonally. We say what we do, we say how we're different or how we better, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, a vote, something like that. Here's our new law firm. We have the best lawyers with the biggest clients. We have, we always perform for our clients, do business with us. Here's our new car. It gets great gas mileage. It has, leather seats. Buy our car. But it's uninspiring. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? You ready to buy a computer from me? All I did was reverse the order of the information. People don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This explains why every single person in this room is perfectly comfortable buying a computer from Apple. But we're also perfectly comfortable buying an MP3 player from Apple, or a phone from Apple, or a DVR from Apple. But as I said before, Apple's just a computer company. There's nothing that distinguishes them structurally from any of their competitors. Their competitors are all equally qualified to make all of these products. In fact, they tried. A few years ago, Gateway came out with flat screen TVs. They're eminently qualified to make flat screen TVs. They've been making flat screen monitors for years. Nobody bought one. Dell came out with MP3 players and PDAs. And they make great quality products, and they can make perfectly well-designed products, and nobody bought one. In fact, talking about it now, we can't even imagine buying an MP3 player from Dell. Why would you buy an MP3 player from a computer company? But we do it every day. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. But if you don't know why you do what you do, and people respond to why you do what you do, then how will you ever get people to vote for you or buy something from you, or more importantly,
land a job or get hired? How will anyone ever believe you? Which is, again, why it's so important, so detrimental to start with the why. And so after you've knocked that part out, then it comes the second pieces that are in the orange. Then comes the do your research on the industry, the role, and the company. And think about this, man. Every decision that we make in life, it starts with research. Before you start dating somebody new, what do? Some research. You go stalk them on Google, look up their name, make sure they're not crazy. You go look them up on Instagram, Facebook, social media to make sure that they a decent person, you kind of know what you're getting yourself into. Before you go to see a new doctor, you do some research. Before you purchase a car, you do some research. Your career is no different. Before you go diving into this new industry, tech sales, before you go applying for a role at a company, you need to do some research on the industry, the roles, and the companies that you're applying for. All right. Research starts first. Then, after you do the research, ideally, you want to build and leverage some relationships. And so if you don't have any relationships in that industry, you want to build some. You want to reach out to some folks, pick their brains, get to know them. You know, you want to co-mingle. You want to mingle in the space. LinkedIn is a great way to do it. And then ideally, you want to seek and connect with the right people, right? The right connections, not skills, but the connections. You know, it's not what you know, but who you know. And so, like, building those relationships, seeking out the right connections, getting connected with them is ideally the best way to get your foot in the door. And then after you've done all of these steps, these 6 steps, then ideally you want to start finding and searching for job postings that fit all the criteria, all the research that you've done. Then ideally, you're going to customize your resume to fit what you want. Cover letters not needed. And then that ideally put you on your first road, the road to landing your first step in your new career. All right. But again, completely different from the way most of us were taught. And if you got questions about this process, if you're like, Shelton, all right, I'm hearing you. How can I frame something else? Don't be afraid to drop in the comments, you know, where you need help, where you need support. So now the reason I encourage this method, this process, is because there is an interesting reality, an interesting truth about the job market, right? The reality is that there are only 25% of available jobs that are actually posted. Only 25%. The other 75% are in this secret market, right? It's these hidden jobs. 75% of jobs fall in this hidden space, kind of like underneath the water. So 15% companies use headhunters to do. Another 45%, the largest majority, comes from networking, comes from like meeting a CEO, CRO, head of sales, VP of sales, sales manager who hasn't posted a job. They know they have a need coming up. They're too busy to do it. And they just so happen to meet you. And you're a great person, great skill set. And they all of a sudden can see you working for the company. And they say like, man, I think we can hire you. We got a role that's coming up. 45% of jobs in the tech market, in the tech sales industry, happen like that. And then the other 15% are from internal referrals. And so you figure if you're networking and you're like trying to connect with the right people, and you're networking with people that are in the role, who do the role, and you're getting cool and building relationships with them, then ideally you'll be able to find a job within that 60% market of networking and internal referrals. And, you know, if you so happen to just come across a job posting at 25% and apply, then, you know, good for you. But like I said, we're talking about, you know, and the reason I, again, teach like this, so I'm a no college degree, high school dropout. I don't got time to be trying to go through the front door and apply for jobs and hope that like my resume is good enough, my cover letter is good enough, that I can beat the ATS system, that I got to compete with people that do have degrees and that do have way more experience than I do, the traditional folks. I'm talking about breaking into tech sales, breaking in, which means if I got to go through the back door, back window, you know, if I got to climb, dig a hole, like that's the way I'm going to get in. And that's what I'm good at, you know, shoot, breaking in. Probably said that wrong, breaking in, like, you know, them days are behind me. But like, you get what I'm saying, like, trying to break in, not the traditional way. And if you don't believe me, at the end of the day, there are plenty of articles, plenty of research that's been done that really speaks to that the old school way of doing things is losing its appeal, that resumes aren't important as they used to be, that recruiters are looking for something different, that resumes aren't a priority, cover letters even less of a priority. Like plenty of articles on a daily basis that I see, you know, recruiters and different individuals dropping about this topic. Now, if you say like Shelton, well, there are people that are out there that claim that resumes are important. It's like, yeah, but you got to do the research. You got to connect the dots. Usually the people that tell you that resumes are important are probably also charging people to do their resumes and cover letters. It's a business. And so, of course, if I'm a person that writes resumes for a living, I'm going to be dropping articles that say like, oh man, you need to pay me $300, $400 to redo your resume. And that's how you going to get a job. I ain't got $300 to $400 to be dropping on a resume, especially for an entry-level role in tech sales, when the reality is I don't even need it. If your goal is to really be a business development rep or sales development rep in the tech industry, it starts today while you're looking for a job. And there are plenty of things that you can do, plenty of behaviors that you can master in your job search that will help you to be a really good BDR, SDR, and put you well on your way to make six figures in your first year once you get in, right? And like I said, the biggest one is the research piece. BDRs and SDRs have to do a lot of research, a lot of prospecting before they actually reach out to their customers. I mean, they don't have to, but good ones do a great job of researching, prospecting. And so for you in your job search, it's time to do some research. Something else that you will definitely be doing as a business development, sales development rep that you can start doing now is having a strong follow-up game. So if you're reaching out to a person on LinkedIn, if they don't reply to your message the first time, you need to follow up second time. They don't reply the second time, you need to follow up the third time. And I'm not saying be thirsty or overly aggressive about it, but people are busy. And so you want the job, you want the attention, you're going to have to reach out and potentially follow up to make sure that they're seeing your message, to make sure they're seeing you. And like, if you get a no, you get a no. It's what being a BDR is all about. You're going to get some no's. So you might as well get used to doing it now before you go jump in this industry. The second follow-up game that you need to be strong about is after you meet with somebody, whether it be a recruiter, sales manager, informational interview, somebody that you do an informational interview with, you're going to need to have a strong follow-up game. And in that follow-up, you need to talk about the value that talking to that person brought to you, which means that you're going to need to be listening, taking notes, whatever you got to do, however you retain information, you're going to need to do that so that when you follow up after that initial conversation, you can show that you got strong BDR, SDR skills when it comes to the follow-up game. And of course, you got to follow up after the interview. That's a must. Sending a thank you note, sending the value that you bring to the organization, maybe taking some notes during the interview of buzzwords or things that you've heard from the person that was interviewing you that will show that you are paying attention and that you're invested in your career. Following up is going to be huge, not only to get the job, but also to keep the job and to make money once you're in the industry. So let's talk about the anatomy of a strong follow-up email, strong follow-up message. Two things I want you to keep in mind. That you need to have a strong subject line in your email or in your LinkedIn outreach. A strong subject line is the first thing that a person sees, is almost the first impression, and it's really going to determine whether or not this person opens up your email or not, right? And so you want to give clear indication on what you're reaching out for, being specific. So like if you're reaching out about an opportunity, it's like, hey, subject line, excited about the BDR opportunity at HubSpot. Or if you're reaching out about an informational interview, hey, excited to learn more about what helped you to be successful at HubSpot. Or if you're following up from an informational interview or a actual interview, thank you for your time today, Steve. Again, making it extremely concise, something that's easy to read, straight to the point. And then in your email, making it personal. You shouldn't be Googling templates. And again, nothing wrong with a template, but ideally, you want to show that you're invested in the person that you're talking to and the company that you're talking to. And so customizing your email, including details of what you heard from your experience with them, is always a win. People like to hear and listen and know that people were paying attention to them. And so showing that in the email, and again, being concise with it is ideal. Now you got to pay close attention to this part. Can't stress this enough. In your follow-up game, BDRs, SDRs, job seekers, in your follow-up game, in any email, any type of messaging you send, if you don't remember anything else from this video, you got to make sure that in any communication, you have this one thing. absolutely must have a clear call to action, clear CTA. What do you want them to do with this message? How do you want them to respond? Do you want to schedule some time? You're looking for info about your application. You got to let me know what you want. I can't tell you how important that is. Messaging that does not have a clear call to action will usually not get a response. Like you were making an announcement of a public service announcement. And it was just like, thanks for the information. Appreciate you for giving me the FYI. What do you want me to do with that? Clear call to actions. And the more concise they are, the better. The more concise they are, the better. So like, hey, you want to meet with me on Wednesday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time to talk about, my experience? Making it easy for me to like, all right, 3 p.m. Central Time actually works. Or giving me multiple options on what you want to do. Man, it's how you win in this industry. Make sure that you don't bury your call to action. It should be at the end. It should be a standalone, like this is what I'm looking for, so that for people like me who skim emails, like I can just scroll down to the bottom and see that like, hey, you looking to meet this time for this reason. Can't stress this enough. Clear call to actions are huge. And of course, if you didn't notice, now you know, making sure that you express gratitude any given time you're sending. If you met with the person, gratitude goes a long way. And gratitude goes a long way. All right, so let's get to this last part. This tell me about yourself question that you get asked at the interview. Can't stress it enough how important it is to know how to answer this question. And in fact, it should be on speed dial. Like you walk in a room and somebody's like, tell me about yourself. You need to have a framework every given time, every time. You got to be ready. You got to stay ready when it comes to answering this question. And know that it can sound a couple of different ways when they ask it. So let me give you the different ways it could sound like, right? When they say, tell me about yourself, it could sound like, tell me more about your background. I'm interested in learning more about you. Tell me about, when you used to work at company X. Tell me more about your experience. Tell me something I don't already know from your resume. It's how that question could sound, what brings you here. I mean, it could sound a couple of different ways, right? And so knowing how to be yourself when answering this question, understanding how to be human in answering this question, understanding how to create an environment that will lead to a relaxed conversation, a likable conversation, a memorable conversation is extremely important when answering this question. In fact, I can't tell you like how many times if you finesse this question the right way, imagine just having a chit chat with the person 30 minutes of the interview and then them almost forgetting to ask you these behavioral questions because they enjoyed the conversation so much with you. How much closer do you think you would be to getting a job where you had a 30-minute conversation with an interviewer where you all were just chit-chatting about life? So just so I'm clear, when a person says, tell me about yourself, here's what they are not looking for. They are not looking for you to tell them your life story or ramble. They are not looking for what you had for breakfast or extremely random facts. They are also not looking for you to recite your resume. They can read. So I got a couple of different recipes that I encourage on how to answer this question. This is the one I'm going to drop today. We're going to talk a little bit about the present, a little bit about the past, a little bit about the future, right? So starting by discussing your current situation, highlights, high level, talking about your past, your journey, highlights, high level, and then connecting your background interests with the qualifications of the job, connecting why you applied to this job, which requires a little bit of research. Present, past, future, like however you want to frame it up, like at the end of the day, you just need to have a process. And in this process, don't forget what Simon Sinek said. People don't believe what you do, they believe why you do it. And so being able to communicate your purpose, what motivates you when answering that why will be huge in making a difference. It will be huge in being authentic. And at the end of the day, you will be one step closer to landing that six-figure opportunity in the tech sales industry or anywhere else. You struggling to answer the tell me about yourself question? Let's have some fun with this. If you're struggling to answer the tell me about yourself question at the interview and you want me to do a sound bite of what you could or what you should sound like when you answer that question, go follow me on LinkedIn. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on my page. Send me a message with a fun fact about yourself and a company that you ideally want to apply to or a company that you want to work for. And I'm going to answer the tell me about yourself question at the interview like I was you. Now, I ain't going to be able to do everybody. Like, I'm slowly growing my following. Got 300 folks that have subscribed already. So this is a first come, first serve type of thing. But promise to do at least 25 individual tell me about yourselves. We'll either drop them via shorts or include them at the beginning or the end of future content. And if you don't want to leave it up to chance, and you're like, man, Schultz, I'm trying to get a job today, you like what you're hearing, again, make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notifications on when I drop new content. And of course, head over to reworktraining.org where you'll learn a little bit more about what I'm doing and how my team is looking to help people that look like me land jobs in the tech industry. We got a goal of helping 25,000 people in the next 25 years. Hoping that you end up as one of them. And if you don't know this already, let me tell you, my goal is to help you get this work.